Hey, 7th grade. We are moving on to our third lesson in the chapter on the atmosphere. So we've covered basically what makes up the atmosphere. Last lesson, we looked at air pressure, and now we're going to look at the layers of the atmosphere. So let's read a misconception about the Earth's atmosphere. So, misconception: the blanket of gases that makes up Earth's atmosphere is thick. Fact: Earth's atmosphere extends far out into space, at least as far, again, as the radius of Earth. However, most of the atmosphere is so thin that it would be hard to tell it apart from the vacuum of space. Most of the gas in the atmosphere is found close to Earth's surface. In fact, half of the gas in the atmosphere is found in the bottom 5.5 kilometers, the height of a tall mountain. The rest of the gas extends thinly out into space for thousands of kilometers. Evidence: the mass of the atmosphere is surprisingly small. In fact, a thin column of air, 1 centimeter squared, extending out into space for thousands of kilometers, has about the same mass as a 1-liter bottle of water. So, where is most of the gas in the atmosphere found? Well, the bottom 5.5 kilometers or close to Earth's surface. So that half of it is the bottom 5.5 and most is Earth's surface. Okay? So our key questions today: what are the 4 main layers of the atmosphere? And what are the characteristics of the atmosphere's layers? So first, scientists divide Earth's atmosphere into 4 main layers, classified according to changes in temperature. These layers are the troposphere, the stratosphere, the mesosphere, and the thermosphere. So notice they all have the term sphere at the end, because atmosphere. So tropo, strato, meso, and thermosphere. The troposphere is the inner or lowest layer of Earth's atmosphere, where we live. Sorry, this shouldn't be an S on live. The troposphere is the layer in which Earth's weather occurs also. The stratosphere extends from the top of the troposphere to about 50 kilometers above. It's the second layer, and it contains the ozone layer. The mesosphere is the middle layer of the atmosphere, and that protects Earth's surface from being hit by most meteoroids. Kind of interesting there. The outermost layer of Earth's atmosphere is the thermosphere. So the thermosphere extends from 80 kilometers above Earth's surface outward into space, and it actually has no definite outer limit. So basically that hasn't been discovered where the limit is. And then the thermosphere actually has its own layers. So we have the ionosphere and the exosphere. So the ionosphere is the lower layer. It begins about 80 kilometers above the surface, and it extends to about 400 kilometers, And then you have the exosphere, which is the outer layer. That extends from about 400 outward for thousands of kilometers, because again, we don't know what the limit is. So our vocab for this lesson: the troposphere is the inner or lowest layer of Earth's atmosphere where we live. The stratosphere extends from the top of the troposphere to about 500 kilometers above. The mesosphere is the middle layer of the atmosphere. The thermosphere extends from 80 kilometers above Earth's surface outward into space and has no definite outer limit. The ionosphere is the lower layer, begins about 80 kilometers above the surface and extends to about 400 kilometers. And finally, the exosphere is the outer layer, which extends from about 400 kilometers outward for thousands of kilometers. So your assignment is to complete the unmodal questions for lesson 3. Make sure you're reading each question carefully and each answer option. If you have questions, let me know. If you want to redo a science assignment, let me know also.